Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for fighting the traffic. You could have been anywhere else tonight, but you chose to be here, spending some time with us here at Atlanta History Center in collaboration with True Colors Theater Company, and we're just incredibly grateful. So welcome to Atlanta History Center. If this is your first time up to our campus, welcome. If you're a returning guest, welcome. This room might look a little bit different than you remember. We're so grateful to be showing off our newly renovated facilities here, and we're just so grateful. This is our second official Atlanta History Center event in this space since it's been renovated. So your chair might be, you might be inaugurating the chair you're sitting in. So thanks for being here. Atlanta History Center, our mission is to connect people, history, and culture, and we always love when we're able to do that through partnerships with community organizations like True Colors Theater. So when Brandel called and asked if we would be willing to host a True Colors Theater Company community conversation, I was just ecstatic. I was so excited about the wonderful panel that they've put together tonight, and I know that all of you are going to have and enjoy a wonderful conversation this evening. You'll have some opportunities to ask your questions at the end of the program. So if you do think of anything throughout tonight's program, know that you will be able to do that. Also, know that we are streaming live tonight. So hello to everyone who is watching from home. We're so happy that you're able to join us through this new medium. It's a new thing for us here at Atlanta History Center. So we'll also have some questions coming in from the folks watching from home. So just really a unique experience that we're able to put together tonight. I just want to introduce a few things about the True Colors Theater community conversation. And I realize I also didn't tell you who I was. So my name is Claire Haley. I'm the Vice President of Public Relations and Programs here for Atlanta History Center. So again, we're just thrilled to be here tonight. So True Colors Theater's Community Conversation Series is sponsored by Brian Cave Leighton Paisner Law Firm. They've generously, I was told this is their second season that they're sponsoring of these conversations that are taking place throughout the city of Atlanta on lots of engaging topics. Tonight's conversation will be moderated by Adaye Moon. And Adaye, many of you might know if you're in the theater community, is an Atlanta-based playwright, director, and cultural worker. He is currently the Associate Artistic Director at Theatrical Outfit, but this is a mini homecoming here for him tonight because he was previously the Museum Theater Director here at Atlanta History Center. So we're just really excited to have him back on this stage tonight. Throughout the evening's conversation, we will also have some spoken word poetry and original poems performed for you this evening. And those will be by Atlanta's amazing mother-daughter spoken word artist duo, Alice Lovelace and Teresa Davis. So you all are in for a treat for sure. And before I turn things over to Adaye, we are going to kick it off with a spoken word performance by Mrs. Lovelace. But again, thank you for being here. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Lovelace.
Good evening. So, if anybody ever asks you where you're from, you just tell them you're from the beginning, aren't they? Remembering my birth. From my watery tomb along the shore of a lake, they dug up bones. The first bits were a part of a knee, then a foot, and next a heel, and as more bones emerged, they prayed they be female, for only a woman could connect us to our human race to stand, to give birth. After discovering the basin-shaped bones, they drank and celebrated all night while Elton John sang about Lucy in the sky with diamonds, and that is how I got my name, Lucy, they called me. But in Ethiopia, they held me Ninkanis, marvelous thing of wonder, out of Africa. Can't you see me? Been here all the time, out of Africa. Can't you see me? Been here all the time, out of Africa. Part 2. The fat face of the moon, swollen with sorrow, sends its regrets. Licking the surface of the river, she separates salt from sand, mist from fog. Eat the tension in each, and I come walking between the waves, balancing the genes of my atoms, resisting the moon's advances. I will you a tear. Surrender to the sacred sun. All else, cunning night cannot hold me in the dark cradle of his journey. The fat face of the moon, pregnant with reason, laughs through a thicket of glaciers while this belly impersonates history. Oh, where are you, Lucy? Come, show yourself. Dance one last dance with me, Lucy, before the sun swallows you and I must flow with the mist. Add the residue of my tears, my tongue to this most ancient of waters. This river creeps between the barnacles of my smile. This river, excuse me, this fickle carcass, supple, constant, lugs history in the shifting tracks of her borders. Nomadic one, vanquish me in the hard perfection of your shadow. Mighty one, you flex, and the captured moon quakes. Great mother of us all, protect these bones. Testament to your grave arrangements. Tell me, where are you from? Take me to the waters. Where are you from? Take me to the water. Where are you from? Take me to the water to be baptized. Remembering my birth.
Hello, everybody out in the audience and people at home. My name is Adai Moon, and another round of applause for the great Alice Lovelace. I am honored to be moderating this conversation about teaching Black theater, and so I want to introduce some of the folks that I'm going to be in conversation with. I'm going to start to my right. Eric Little is a theater professor at Clark Atlanta University, actor, director, and writer. Aku Kadogo, chair of the theater and performance at Spelman College, director, choreographer, arts educator, and cultural preservationist. And to my left, Wesley Brown, professor emeritus at Rutgers University, also an author. Lydia Fort, director of the Playwriting Center at Theater Emory, and assistant professor at Emory University, and a director. And I'm Adai Moon, and we're going to get this party started, y'all. So I want to start off with this question because I think we're all theater artists, and I think all of us, or most of us, also identify as Black theater artists. So. And if you don't, that's fine too. No judgment. But what is Black theater for each of you? And how would you define it personally? And whoever wants to start.
Well, there's a story I heard that I guess many of you might know. James Albert Gronesaw was the first, I guess, enslaved African to publish a book, a narrative in 1770. And part of that narrative, he tells of being on the ship, and he was listening to the ship's captain reading a book, or looking at a book, which was reciting a prayer. And the Gronesaw was just fascinated by this, someone speaking to an object. And then he noticed that the ship's captain's lips were moving, but he wasn't speaking. And then when he left, Gronesaw found the book, brought it back, and started putting it to his ear to see if it would speak. And he was real disappointed that the book did not speak to him. And I think it was that point that he talked his words into his own book, and then he could listen to what the book said, could hear what he wrote by putting his ear to the book. And I guess I would say that that's Black theater, that Black theater is the repository that is spoken into by Black people, and then we then listen to the book, the theater, to see if what we hear is both familiar, challenging, provocative, forcing us to celebrate, to have jubilation, but also to provoke us into hearing and listening to things that we would prefer not to hear.
That's great. Who's next? Little.
Okay. I think one of the things that Mr. Brown said that sticks with me is the word celebration. But I think, one, I'm like you, Adaye. I consider myself a theater artist, but I also consider myself a Black theater artist. Like I'm like you. I'm proud to say that. And I think Black theater celebrates and examines the Black experience. And I think that covers a gamut of things, whether it's our joy, whether it's some pain. Look out, True Colors, joy, pain. There you go. But I think that's what it is about. You know, I love even that the season, you know, was called Joy and Pain because, and we've talked about this before, you know, and I, you know, said this, it's like, you know, we get so much trauma. And it's like, from the Black experience, there's more than trauma.
Yes.
There's a lot of Black joy. So to me, Black theater is celebrating all of it, you know, and examining it. Aku?
Yes, well, it is definitely, I mean, I immediately think of the blues.
Oh, yeah.
I think of the blues because the blues itself is celebratory. It's talking about, it's the pain, but it's also talking about how I'm gonna get through this pain.
Yeah.
And I find the theater, listening to the book really resonated with me because I feel like we make it up. So we will make that book speak. And I think that, for me, is what Black theater is making that book speak, or making the sky speak, or making my heart speak. And that's been my experience of Black theater.
Lydia.
This is not my words. I'm stealing this from someone else. But I definitely ascribe to Du Bois saying it's by, for, and about, and near Black folks. And I also think that it is theater that is immersed, steeped in the Black aesthetic, and that includes jubilation, that includes uplift of community, that includes like all of these things, music and call and response, and it's all of those things that we think of in terms of the Black aesthetic, absolutely. And then, so this is the other part of this, is that I think that some folks have called it African American theater. And the difference between Black theater and African American theater, for those who subscribe to this belief, is that African American theater is for white audiences. And when I heard that, it was just like, absolutely. Because I can go to a play and feel like I'm not moved. I haven't been engaged in a way that speaks to me and works on me. But I can see how it's useful to other folks and how other folks might need it. But yeah, I go for the uplift mainly.
Yeah. I'm so glad you talked about the difference between the two. Because that's been a personal beef of mine for quite a while. There is a difference between African American theater and Black theater. And as it relates to Black theater, describe your your first encounter with Black theatrical practice, and how did that impact the work that you do, or continue to impact the work you do?
Well, probably I could best answer that question by sort of starting with a place that's not Black theater. But in the early 1960s, I went to see a play that was at the St. Mark's Theater on the Lower East Side called The Blacks by Jean Genet. And all of these Black actors put on white masks and projected sort of the sins of omission and commission of the white world to a white audience. And it was like a jolt to my nervous system. But what for me was even more compelling was that the actors in The Black, James Earl Jones, Cicely Tyson, Lou Gossett Jr., Barbara Ann Teer, these extraordinary performers who then subsequently moved into theaters like Negro Ensemble, the National Black Theater with Barbara Ann Teer, the New Lafayette Theater, the African American Theater, the Penumbra in St. Paul, Minnesota, Obasi in Chicago, the Spirit House in Newark. And so it seemed that the outrage of many of the Black actors performing that play, of course, that was probably more work that they had gotten in quite a while, all of them gathered together, seemed to be a provocation for the creation of these Black theaters that emanated from in New York and then spread from there. So I think that experience of watching this play, it wasn't so much the play, but the emergence of all of these Black theater professionals. And then I began to see them sort of in all these other different venues in these Black plays. I think that was my sort of inaugural experience in terms of finding my way to Black theater.
Oh man, that's a hell of an inaugural experience. Like for the Black theater nerds in the house, that production of The Blacks, of Genet's The Blacks at St. Mark's is legendary, and a lot of people feel that it really started the Black theater movement. That production in combination with Raisin and The Dutchman as well. But wow.
So I would just like to piggyback on that because my experience was I was in high school, and in fact I was in a performing arts program in Detroit. I went to Cass Tech, and but I wasn't in any productions until I joined a Black theater in Detroit, and that Black theater was Concept East Theater, which was founded by Woody King. But Woody at that point wasn't there. He had already high school working at Concept East Theater, and the first play that I did was a play called Sister Sonji by Sonia Sanchez. Yes. And what's interesting for me about that, it was a one-woman play. I was 17 years old. I got some really interesting reviews, really good reviews actually, in the newspaper, which brought me to light to the theater department, because the professor there called me into his office and he said, "Is this you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How come we don't know about you?" So that was an interesting thing. But I also feel that play for me was definitely, it was almost like the shape of my life to come. And for Colored Girls to do a solo show like that and have to, I spent probably about half hour, 45 minutes on stage by myself learning that was my first piece that I did. And then, to go on and do for Colored Girls, but I was prepped. Thank you, Gloria Green, who was the director at the time, and Leonard Smith was the director of Concept East Theater, and Ron Milner, who was a mentor, friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it's interesting. I think we were talking about this backstage where I think Aku, you may have said it, somebody said it, you kind of have stages